Hey everyone, Doug Skeleton here, and today I want to talk to you guys about aggro decks and control decks, and why control is often infinitely more frustrating to play than an aggro deck, and why that kind of makes people want to go for the more aggressive decks on the ladder as well. So whenever you're playing a control deck, such as Control Warrior, Control Priest, Handlock is also a really good example. You are playing a deck that is slow. You start to turn the tides in the late game around turn 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 even. And you draw a lot of cards. You spend a lot of the early game just kind of surviving. And that's fine. That's how those decks are built to be played. However, if you, at any point in time, don't have the right answers to the aggressive decks, such as Secrets Paladin, Face Hunter, even Mid-Range Hunter, or Tempo Mage to an extent as well, then you just fall really far behind. And when you fall behind, when you're already playing a control deck which is slow, your opponent can often just push for face, keep pummeling you in, put you at the point where it doesn't even matter if you have a heal bot, because if you play a heal bot to heal up, you can't play your taunt, and if you play your taunt, then you just die to spells. So, as a control player, you have to have perfect answers all the time. And when you have the perfect answers, such as a Hellfire to eliminate a board, a Holy Nova, or a Shadow Madness on the perfect targets, then that only puts you in the running to survive into the late game, where you have a chance to actually turn things around. So, if you have good answers, you still have a shot at winning. If you don't have those answers, you lose immediately. And when you lose immediately, of course, your rank drops. And to win a match, you have to be playing those longer games. You have to whittle all of your opponent's resources down. You have to answer all of their items. Make sure that you play around spell burst damage. Put the taunts up at the right time. And then, at that point, you have a chance of winning. You get to that late game, maybe you heal yourself up with a heal bot. I mean, I'm kind of maybe using the handlock example here a lot, but it's a really good example. You put your giants down with taunts. Great, you have a shot at winning. But even that said, if your opponent has good draws or has the answers to break through those taunts, then even though you made it to the mid to late game, you can still die out of nowhere. Especially against classes like Hunter's SMOrc, equality from a Paladin, especially equality Consecration, that can be devastating. Though equality with a Knife Juggler could be pretty bad as well. Or a Flame Waker that just gets to use too many spells, or even better, an Antonidas that draws 2 or 3 fireballs, and then what do? Your taunts mean nothing because he's just going to fireball you in the face twice. So at any point in time when your opponent, the aggressive deck, gets the good cards that he needs to just push through whatever you play, you lose anyway. So in order to gain a win, you actually have to put quite a bit of effort into playing a control deck. To get a win with an aggressive deck, you just have to draw really good on your early turns, play decently. If your opponent ever fails to have the answers, then they basically lose automatically. And that just can become really frustrating. So the amount of effort you have to put into winning with an aggressive deck like Hunter is often a lot less than it takes to win with something like Priest. Honestly, I would say at this point, if you aren't playing the Dragon Priest specifically, which is good, it's just a good deck overall, it has a lot of good tempo cards, and you're trying to play that more old school Priest deck, although it can work, it's just not really worth the effort, and that's why you don't see that kind of thing on ladder. Well, that, and maybe you would even get a higher win rate just by playing Hunter, or that kind of thing. Ultimately, what it means for you is if you're trying to climb the ladder, or you just want to play for your daily wins, then you have to ask yourself, why are you even bothering to play this deck that takes, like 10 minutes to win a match, when you could play an aggressive deck, maybe even get a higher win ratio. Hunters are very, very strong right now, and only have to play for like 2 or 5 minutes to win a match. If you watch the tournaments, though, you'll notice that a lot more of the control-y or mid-range decks tend to actually make it into those formats, and I think the main reason for that is, of course, because when you're playing the tournaments, you're going to be playing 3 matches a day, And those matches are really, really important. It's not about climbing the ladder, it's about getting the highest win ratio possible. So when you're playing the ladder, you run into stupid crap like Secrets Paladin, which is an okay deck, but may not be as competitive as, say, Grim Patron Warrior, Midrange Hunter, Handlock, or, what else are people playing? I guess you could say even to an extent Dragon Priest. There is maybe one extra upside to playing a control deck on the ladder, especially right now with the very aggressive and board controlling meta that's going on. And that's that when you play a deck that is not all that common on the ladder, you're less likely to be tacked against. Like the Secrets Paladin, it may have died off a little bit, but previously, or even right now, you see a lot of people tacking against it with cards like Flare and the Blood Knight, I believe that's what it's called, sucks up the Divine Shields. And that means that even if you play those really cheap aggressive decks, people are going to kind of expect it and they'll know how to play against it. But overall, the difference between playing an offsuit deck like a Control Priest and just playing the standard very aggressive Hunters and Paladins, it's not really worth it to just say, oh, maybe I get one extra win percentage if I play the control deck rather than playing the aggressive deck. Because at the end of the day, you'll be sitting there for hours and hours trying to win your matches if you do happen to play the control decks. So it's only really worth playing control if you enjoy that style of play. And sometimes I do. So it's true, like I do enjoy control decks. I do like to win the long game, make my opponent run out of cards. But it's time consuming, and often it's just much easier to say, screw it, I'm going to play SMOrc Hunter. So thank you all for listening, and until my next video, I will see you then.